Ninka ranse waro saleda laboresinena girgida am fidalle kito ayre kito digana hakuni bata koleno farsate amande mata ko yicho kolen lemin anturo sate ka wonu ka wiche bat
Sebala de kumora no izanti mertela bit mitu tona eta olu gari tona eta atte avirat.
In 2017, there are still 3 million Ethiopian children who miss out on the chance to go to school. The Speed School program was created to help solve that problem. We work in particular with children who are 10 or 11 years old and have missed out on an education, largely because their families are too poor to allow them to go to school. In just 10 months, we enable them to cover the whole first 3 years of schooling, which means that they're able to re-enroll in their local village school together with children their own age. The teaching model is very child-centered. We cap our classes at 25 students, and we have an extended day and extended year. Children in our program work hard. We also provide support to the teachers in the government schools who will receive our graduates. It's actually a pretty enormous commitment to think about a typical Ethiopian classroom, which already has 50 or 60 kids in it, to ask them to take 5 or 6 more. So unless we see teachers in government schools as very explicit partners in our program, it won't be successful. If we don't meet parents where they are financially, we can't change the circumstance their children are in.
That was a very inspiring video. Firstly, I would like to welcome to the stage Ms. Amina Hussein, Director of Programs and Community Development, to present the awards. Thank you for joining us. We're going to be torturing you today, yeah? Bear with us. But now I'd like to call to the stage Ms. Caitlin Barron, CEO of the Luminous Fund.
Thank you all so very much. On behalf of our team and our partners around the world, we are incredibly grateful for this opportunity to have the work recognized today. I'm especially grateful for this opportunity because we believe at the Luminous Fund that this award is important. Important in the sense that it recognizes that for too long, the global education conversation has been divided into 2 separate conversations. On the one hand, we have the innovation conversation, the conversation centered on the potential of adaptive learning, individualized instruction. This is the conversation of innovation we find in the Silicon Valleys, the Silicon Wadis, the Silicon Savannas of the world. And on the other hand, we have the conversation of massification, the conversation of the moral imperative to universalize education, reaching the last 250 million children in the world who still fail to learn to read and write. And as parents, we know that the best possible way for children to learn is through doing. I know we have a number of parents in the room, and all of you, like me, when you thought about setting your child on the right path in life, looked for nothing more than an environment of joyful learning. We know with our own children that children learn best when they learn with the head, the hand, and the heart. And yet, as international education professionals, so often when we turn our minds to the challenge of developing education models that can reach the 250 million who still fail to learn, our conception of what's possible in education narrows, and we revert to tired techniques of scripted instruction and worksheets. We measure our impact in bums in seats rather than lives transformed. And we at Luminous believe that these two conversations, the innovation conversation and the universalization conversation, must become one. What the Speed School program proves is that child-centered education is the best possible way for children to learn, full stop, even in the poorest corners of the globe. And the communities that we at Luminous serve know that once you plant the seed of joyful learning in the heart of a child, you transform that child's life for the rest of their lives. So a little bit about us at the Luminous Fund. The Luminous Fund is founded on the commitment to create education to unlock the light in every child. Our job is to find, refine, and scale innovative models for bringing quality education to the world's most vulnerable children. Work of this kind couldn't be done without partnerships, and one of our most important partnerships is with the advisory firm Geneva Global. Together with colleagues at the Strama Foundation, Geneva Global developed the original Speed School model, and Luminous was created to bring that model to scale to millions of children around the world. Working together with an array of implementing partners across Liberia, Ethiopia, and elsewhere, Luminous has enabled over 100,000 children to get a second chance at an education. The Speed School program is proving the possible, proving that children can learn in a play-based, child-centered way anywhere in the world, even the very poorest corners of the globe. Our North Star, our assurance that we're headed in the right direction, comes in the incredible enthusiasm of children in our classrooms. Children like Tibebu here. Tibebu joined our program just a little over 2 years ago. He came to us several years after having lost his parents. Without parents, he had moved from home to home in his extended family, and as such had missed out on the chance to start school as he should have. When his grandmother, in whose care he landed, heard about our program, she came to us straight away. And she said, "All of my children missed out on the chance to go to school, but I won't let that happen to this boy." Tibebu enrolled in our program, did exceptionally well, and returned to his village school with children his own age, where he continues to study today. And when we ask Tibebu what education means to him, he answers quite simply. He says, "Learning science amazes me. Everything I learn makes me so happy." Shouldn't every child everywhere have the chance to feel that way? Thank you very much.
And thank you, Ms. Caitlin, and that's an amazing journey. I can only imagine how it's like. But if I may ask you just one question. We saw an amazing video that portrayed how it's like to be a student at the Speed School, but can you put it in words? What's it like to be a student there?
So one of the things you would have seen in the video is that our classrooms themselves are really quite simple. The vast majority have no electricity. They're outside of the range of a cell phone signal. So our teachers need to work with what they find around them in order to create a rich learning environment. And so they work with resources at hand. Children are introduced to letters by forming those letters out of clay for the first time. Oh, wow. Children learn from each other as well as their teacher. They learn by teaching younger children in their own communities. One of the really important lessons of the Speed School program is the idea that delivering a rich learning environment doesn't necessarily require rich resources. And one of the most exciting things about our classroom is that, for many of our children, they would have started school and struggled to learn. And that's not surprising if you think about what it would be like to try and learn to read in a classroom of 60 or 70 children. I mean, it would be hard for any child. But many of our children and their parents, quite frankly, have come to believe that they perhaps can't learn. And so they would have started traditional school and left. And so a large part of what we need to do at Speed School is prove to them that every child can learn. And so one of the important things we do is actually invite the mothers of our children into the classroom. And when they see their children thriving, when they see their children succeeding, that's the best insurance we can build that these mothers will continue to support their children as they progress through their education.
So it literally takes a village to make it happen.
It does. It really does.
Well, thank you very much. Big round of applause, please. Thank you very much, Ms. Caitlin. Our next project has disrupted the traditional school model as we know it. It aims to provide our societies with the inventors of tomorrow. Let's watch.
Dans le secteur digital, en France, on manque de professionnels du numérique avec les bonnes compétences attendues par le marché. La France est en retard, classiquement 5e puissance économique mondiale. Elle est au-delà du 20e rang en ce qui concerne l'économie numérique. 42 est né en 2013 pour pouvoir non seulement apporter davantage de professionnels sur le marché, mais également pour pouvoir proposer un nouveau modèle éducatif.
Tous les jours, on arrive et on a des projets sur lesquels l'école nous donne à peine 20% du savoir nécessaire. Et il faut aller le chercher par soi-même, aussi bien auprès des camarades que sur Internet, sur les forums, sur les autres ressources qu'on peut trouver. Et c'est comme ça que la pédagogie de 42 marche. Moi, ce que j'aime vraiment, c'est l'autonomie. Vu que le savoir est à disposition en permanence et que l'école est ouverte 24 sur 24, si j'ai envie de bosser cette nuit entre 2h et 3h du matin, je peux le faire.
Il n'y a pas de prérequis en termes de diplôme. On ne regarde pas le parcours scolaire précédent pour nos candidats. Également, on ne va pas regarder leur situation sociale qui parfois peut être un frein en termes d'accès à des études supérieures.
42 m'a apporté un peu de savoir en électronique, mais ça m'a surtout appris la démarche et de comment est-ce qu'on apprend. Si demain, voilà, vous qui ne savez pas faire d'électronique, vous avez envie de faire une carte, voilà, 42 m'a apporté la démarche sur comment est-ce qu'on apprend à faire ça.
C'est vraiment les éléments clés qui, pour nous, vont leur permettre d'avoir une carrière qui va être pérenne dans un monde où le numérique évolue très vite.
And now I would like to call to the stage Mr. Nicola Sadirak, founder and dean of 42.
First of all, I want to thank you for this great initiative, and I really think that as in 42, we really believe that stuff comes from the meeting of different people, and I think WISE is exactly about this. Maybe in the presentation, the video you see, it's quite difficult to understand what's really 42, and I will just try to tell you a story, a very story of how it starts, how 42 was created. Just before 42, I was running a private school in France, one of the best IT private schools in France. and the school was doing great, and it's one of the best schools in France. And one day, we start a program to help poor people, okay, because it was a private school and expensive, so it's totally inaccessible for most of French people. So we decided to start and launch a program for poor people and people who quit school early. Okay, I don't know if you know, but in France we have around 150,000 young people quitting school without any degree. Okay, so we decided to help those people, and we launched this program. It works pretty well. All these kids find jobs and everything was fine. And one girl, Jamila, which was part of this program, ended up in a Xavier Niel company. I'm pretty sure most of you don't know Xavier Niel. Xavier Niel is one of the 10 richest guys in France. He got rich from nothing, so he came from a poor background, and he comes rich in IT. Okay, he gets rich doing telecoms and many IT companies. So this girl ended up in Xavier Niel company, and after 1 year, she's part of the best talented people of this company. Okay. It's a small company, very techy company, winning a lot of money, like 8 billion euro a year. Okay, so it's good, it's getting a lot of money, and it's full of engineers and whatever. And one day, Xavier Niel has to talk to this girl. Okay, he meet her and ask her, where do you come from? Which is very usual in France. When you meet someone, usually in France, you ask him, what school did he do? Okay, and most of the people of the IT companies will have do like 200 schools in France. Okay, it's a very small group of people who manage all that stuff. And she answered, okay, 2 years ago I was seller in a pet shop. She was selling hamsters. Okay, and Xavier Niel was just amazed. Okay, he said, okay, what's going on? Okay, he called me. We knew each other for 30 years. Okay, we did many stuff together. And he asked me, okay, Nicolas, what's going wrong in this country? I'm looking for talents everywhere. Everyone is looking for talent, and we don't find any. We have people looking all over the world, and I have a girl in front of me who is just amazing, and she was selling pets rather than doing IT. So what's going on? Okay. So mainly, we met together. I explained him how we did it. Okay, and he tell me, okay, why don't you do 1,000 of them? Okay, I tell you, Xavier, it's very simple. It's a problem of money. It costs money to make it. Okay, we don't have enough money to make more of them. Okay, and he asked me how much will it cost if we want to do like 10,000 of them. Okay, for 10 years. I say, okay, it's 100 million euro. He said, okay, it's cheap. Do it. Okay, that's the main idea of 42. So now we are 4 years later, and we have 3,500 students in Paris, around 5,000 in the world. It's a school where there is no teacher, and it's not clear in the video, but there is no teacher at all. There is no teacher, no mentor, no tutor. It's only peer-to-peer. And when we mean peer-to-peer, it's not students who know who explain to students who don't know. It's students all together making their own knowledge. Okay? And what we believe at the end of this, we believe in the belief between 42. It's very simple. First, we believe that standard academic education nowadays is not giving the good skills that you need to be an innovator. Okay? And it's quite proven. Most of the people in innovation were on this. Okay. Second thing, we think now it's totally transmitting knowledge. It's unuseful, it's dangerous, and reduce creativity of people. Okay. That's the main thing I like to transmit to you. And I hope really you can, if you have something to address to people, if you feel like you want to do and you feel good to be in IT, just don't listen to everyone. If they tell you that you are not good in math and you won't be a good, great IT somewhere, okay, just make it a try. Thank you very much for everyone.
Thank you very much. I have to ask you something, because I saw a few jaws dropped when you said transmitting knowledge is unuseful. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, it's very simple, okay. Let's imagine a world where anytime you have a question, okay, you immediately get the answer, okay. That's what is the case already in IT, and that will be the case in every way in next time. I saw lately an interface in Seoul that you put in here, and when you think of any word, you get the wiki answer of the word. They say that in like 5 to 10 years, you will have it in the brain. I mean, you will think of something, you will get the wiki answer of things. That means that you can have access to any knowledge that we have. It means that when you learn something, when you are trying to learn something, you do it because you think you will need this knowledge somewhere, sometime later. But if you can have access directly to this knowledge, what is the mean of spending your time acquiring this knowledge? I mean, and let's think, we spend a lot of our time doing this. And I mean a lot, it's like 10 years full time for most of the child. Okay? So this is actually an obsolete way to get access to knowledge. Okay? In the second part, when you get knowledge, something as human, you have, when you get knowledge, most of people think knowledge is a good thing. But one thing, it's very difficult to get rid of it. When you know something, it's almost impossible to forget it. And if you know something which is good, it's fine. Okay? If we, for example, you do physics, I come from physics background, you know that when you drop an apple, it falls. It's okay. It will fall for a long time. But in IT, most of the stuff you learn will be wrong. And then when I mean wrong, they are not just not accurate, they are just false. And most of the people that learn something in IT, later on, will regret it. I used to teach older people in IT. You know, older people in IT, it's around 40. Okay? So you get those 40 guys, and most of them are very clever people. They used to be engineers, or in France we have a lot of people who came from chemistry and they used to have PhD and stuff like this. So they are clever people. And you ask them to do something, and most of them are not able to do it, while you ask the same thing to very young people that know nothing, they are able to do it. What's the problem for those people? That's not what they are not, what they don't know, because they obviously know how to read, know how to learn. Okay? It's a problem, it's what they know. And as a teacher, you try to remove what they know. It's totally impossible. I tried many times. You are not able to remove the knowledge of someone. You may add some new knowledge, but most of the time when you add new knowledge, when the guy is in the classroom, it's very fine. He will get the knowledge, he will get the exam, he will pass the test, and everything works. But when he comes back in his company and in his stressful environment, he will do exactly as he used to do for 20 years. Just because when a very simple thing in your brain, most of our decisions are not rational decisions. We use most of the time our experience more than deduction. Okay. I will finish on this and just say that every time you learn something, or every time you make your child or kids learn something, really think of what you do, because you won't get rid of it forever. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The next project is transnational cooperation to improve access to quality education in rural areas in Latin America. This cooperation is a reminder that we need to come together and work together in order to solve the most pressing issues in education. Let's watch.
Una puerta abierta de enormes posibilidades educativas y esto también ha permitido que ellos se puedan comunicar con amigos en España, con amigos en otros lugares de América.
Me siento feliz de poder usar la internet de la escuela cuando busco algo. Me siento conectado, nos cambió totalmente la vida.
Para los docentes yo creo que estaban siendo olvidados o discriminados por los países y era necesario igualar, era necesario compensar de alguna forma.
Que nosotros no pensemos, bueno, porque estamos en la ruralidad no podemos tener determinados derechos, porque es un derecho, tener la mejor educación que pueda y bueno, y esto lo ha potenciado.
La estrategia de los paneles solares ha sido también un emblema de las energías limpias al servicio de la educación, al servicio de una educación más justa, de mayor calidad, para fortalecer nuestras democracias.
Lo que demostramos con el proyecto es que es factible, es posible. Y lo que se espera es de que a partir de esta experiencia se formulen políticas del país que permitan llevar la electrificación y la conectividad y progresivamente al conjunto de las escuelas.
I would like to invite Mr. Paulo Speller, Secretary General of the Organization of American Ibero Countries, to come on stage, please. If you can join me to the podium, please.
Bom dia. Hello, everyone. That's good morning in Portuguese. Buenos dias in Spanish, which are the languages we speak all over in Latin America and in the Iberian Peninsula, where we are. We have seen an experience here where we have been able to take electricity to all schools in the case of one country, Uruguay. But as we have said, we are working in 13 countries. So we are also in Nicaragua, Guatemala, Colombia, Paraguay, Honduras, Costa Rica, Peru, Argentina, Bolivia, El Salvador, Panama, and República Dominicana. Maybe you have some people here from one of those countries. I could speak in Spanish or in Portuguese, but let's speak English because this is the language we all understand here. We are in a, well, this is Annie. Annie comes from the Peruvian Andes in one of the schools where we have been working, and she's looking to the clouds because she knows that all the information now, she knows now, is in the clouds. So she is looking into the clouds. What would happen if we didn't have this? I'm pretty sure that we all have one of these in our pockets, in our purse. What would happen if we didn't have a battery? What would happen if we didn't have electricity to communicate and to use our smartphones? That would be quite a problem, and we wouldn't have, of course, access to internet. And this is precisely what Annie is thinking about. Because we have a situation in Latin America where we still have more than 50,000 schools, rural schools, especially rural schools up in the hills, in the coast, in the jungle, where no electricity at all is provided, and therefore there is no internet. So they are completely isolated. Of course, radio is very much used, and still very much used in those communities, but we need to communicate nowadays using this so common technology that we have in our day-to-day, which is internet. And in this sense, I think that it is important to take into account that, look, again, Annie is looking to the clouds with her brother, Alidel. So what we try to do in this project, as we have shown in the case of Uruguay, is to take solar energy to a group of schools, more than 500 schools, as demonstrative projects that we have taken to those 13 countries. And in this sense, they all have access. But what is important to say, again, is not only that they have access to internet as such, because internet is a medium. And it is important that at the same time, in those countries, we have offered the opportunity for them to have the access to programs of teacher education, preparing the directors of the schools, the school heads, the community itself, which participates very heavily in our programs. And in this sense, all this information, which is shared through internet, leads to several programs, both in the schools in general in those countries, as well as to the community, opening vocational programs and a series of other programs as well. On the other hand, we may say that in this sense, as we can see here, installing the panels in all of the schools, it has been absorbed by the community. So the communities become very much involved, and this is what gives us the opportunity to work for the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. The Agenda 2030, where the number 4 objective, which is quality education, is the most important objective of all 17 because it is transversal. It is present in all other 16 objectives. So this is a contribution that we try to bring to, let's say, the Agenda 2030 through these projects. On the other hand, we are extending this project to the Lusophone countries in Africa as well. Mozambique, Angola, Cape Verde, São Tomé e Príncipe, Guinea-Bissau, also to Asia, where East Timor is being involved. And next year, we are starting the project up north in Mozambique, in the province of Cabo Delgado, just close to the border with Tanzania, where some of you come from. In this sense, after Mozambique, we will be in the other countries, so that Annie and Alidel will be able to communicate with their friends in Mozambique and discuss about what they see, what they think, and share different knowledges, different experiences along not only in Latin America, but now between Latin America and all those countries in Africa and in Asia. This is what we bring with this project, besides other projects of the Organization of Ibero-American States, to contribute to the Agenda 2030. Muchas gracias, shukran, obrigado.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I have to ask you this question. You've come a long way. You've reached more than 500 schools within 13 countries, correct? So how are you going to go from there? What's your scaling up plan?
Thank you for the question. That's a very good question because actually, as you have seen, in the case of Uruguay, we were quite fortunate because we are able, in a partnership with a local private electricity company and the state electricity company, to bring electricity through solar panels to all schools. So Uruguay now, in Uruguay, we have all the schools, all the rural schools are connected to internet and they have electricity. But that is not the situation. As we have said, we have more than 50,000 schools in Latin America which still don't have electricity. So the 556 experience that we have developed, they are part of a demonstrative project. What we're trying to show to those countries, there are countries, one country, for instance, which still has 14,000 rural schools without electricity. What we're trying to show is that it is possible. It is possible. The technology exists. Is it possible to have access to internet? Is it possible to extend training programs, education programs for the teachers, extending those facilities to the community? And the message is, if the country decides, then a public policy may be elaborated in the sense that electricity can be brought to all schools. And I have a very good news to give you all. I have just been called from Panama, where we are being contracted by the government through the Ministry of Education, because they are now very much enthusiastic about the project after a series of 6 experimental projects, demonstrative projects. So they are contracting us to bring this project to the whole educational system in Panama.
That's
so
amazing.
This is
That's
a fact,
amazing.
And this is where we want to get. And of course, we will go this way with all the other countries as well. Thank you very much for your question, for your attention.
Thank you very much, and thank you for sharing your experience with us. Thank you. Unless you want me to take it. That's mine. I can take it. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speller. The next project is about matching young people with mentors and role models from their own community so that access to quality education is improved. Let's watch the video.
The education system in Tanzania currently is very challenged with the quality of education, and as a result, the marginalized girls are excluded because they have a lot of challenges at home and also within the school environment. So we are coming up with a program, the Renegade program, which is really trying to create the extra skills so that we can be able to break the cycle of poverty.
Nikiwa kama mwongozaji wa programu ya Dunia Yangu Bora, kikubwa zaidi ambacho nafurahia, yani huwa najivuniaga siku zote, kuona wale wasichana na wavulana kwa ujumla wanabadilika kulingana na hiki ninachokitoa mimi, ninachokifundisha mimi.
Inatufanya sisi kutujenga kiakili na kimawazo kwa ajili ya kuwa na baadaye na future nzuri ya kimaisha sisi kama wanafunzi. Ninaweza nikamchukua kama role model wangu.
Since we started in 2013, they have been able to bring back over 190 boys and girls who were at risk of dropping out.
Nimepata mkopo, kwa hiyo nafanya biashara zangu. Si kawaida kwa msichana, hasa kwa umri kama kwangu mimi, kumiliki hizo biashara ambazo nimezizungumzia. Kwanza ni kitu ambacho wanaona kama maajabu, yani kwa kijiji. Yani kabla haya mafunzo, yani nilikuwa sipo kabisa kama msichana yule msichana ambaye Stumai wa sasa hivi ni Stumai tofauti na kipindi kile ambapo kabla sijawa Renegade. Programu hii ya Dunia Yangu imebadilisha maisha yangu kwa namna tofauti sana.
That was a very inspiring and refreshing video. And on that note, I would like to call to the stage Ms. Lydia Wilbard, Country Director at PhET.
Thank you so much for this incredible recognition. And I'm standing here on behalf of the 800 Renegades who are delivering the Renegade program in Tanzania. These are young women once at the margins of their society. And they are now experts in bringing girls in school and actually teaching us all what living and working together really means. So you just seen the story of Stumai, and let me take you through the impact and the power of the Renegades like Stumai. Girls not only need the financial support to be in school, but also they need the psychosocial support for them to succeed. And we need to open up new pathways for young women after school. So Renegades like Stumai understands the psychology of poverty because they have lived it. And they are best placed to provide the emotional support and the information that the vulnerable students will need to be able to stay in school and progress. So they are deeply rooted in their own communities, and therefore they understand the challenges that they face, and they can take actions to be able to mobilize the resources that are needed to keep girls in school. So the curriculum that Renegades and Stumai delivers in school has been developed with the young people in sub-Saharan Africa, and it helps the students to build self-knowledge, develop their confidence, but also develop their talents and set up their goals and learn how to achieve those goals. As a result, we have seen an unprecedented uplift in the learning outcome, especially for the marginalized girls who are most likely affected by the system. And among the girls who have been supported through school by PhET and also benefiting from the Renegade program, their English literacy scores have more than doubled compared to the girls who are not in the program. And in maths, more than 5 times. So when Desderia, who comes from the child-held household, says that education will save her future, she really means it. Because the majority of the girls that are supported through school by PhET are mostly orphans, and they do the majority of household chores. They often lack the money, the time, and the energy to walk long distance to school. So girls are too easily pushed out of the school system, and most of the time into child marriage. And in Tanzania, 37% of the girls marry at the age of 18, and this figure is even higher in rural communities. And children marry as early as 11 years. I understand when I say 11 years, the majority of you have children, right? Can you imagine a child at 11 years? And this is subjecting them not only to the physical and emotional abuse, but also a risk of HIV infections, and also the complications of childbirth, during pregnancy, and also after birth. So Renegades takes it to themselves to deliver the information on sexual and reproductive health, but also to support the bringing back of those who have dropped out of school to come back in the school system. But I wanted to also say that girls not only need to be caught up at the time of dropping out, but also we need to develop their independence after school. So Renegades like Stumai, they gain access to free and low-risk loan so that they can be able to grow and start their own businesses. And they pay in social interest term because they are supporting learning of others. So the business that they develop, they create jobs for young people in their communities, but also support their further education and support their families. Now, Stumai started running a business of a small shop at the outskirts of her own village, but now she runs a business of a motorbike, which is really thriving, and it is supporting to employ other people, like you see that guy.
And I wanted to say that supporting young women to stay in communities rather than migrate to centers and be faced with exploitation, we build the local economies and empower women, also increase their leadership skills and authorities within the decision-making that is made at the local level. And finally, I wanted to tell you that all Renegades are part of KAMA, Young Women Alumni Network, which is passionate and ready to take charge of the education of the further girls, especially from the background of marginality. And I stand here on behalf of all this, and as a founder of KAMA in Tanzania. And across Africa, KAMA has just reached 1,100 KAMA members.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lydia, for that amazing journey.
Last final word is, I just wanted to say our power is a lived experience of marginalization transformed into action. So thank you so much for this opportunity, which is to us is a recognition of our own philanthropy and activism. And together we are going to make a different Africa. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Amazing journey. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. Okay. Thank you, Lydia. We were often taught physics, chemistry, and other sciences in an abstract way, which made learning the sciences far from enjoyable. I think most of us agree with that last statement. Well, our next project has been providing learners with scientific interactive simulations for the past 15 years, so that learning the sciences is accessible and enjoyable for everyone. Let's watch this video together.
Behind PhET was to make science more engaging and also more accessible to students. We provide representations that scientists use so they can really engage in learning science like a scientist engages in discovering science. And through that discovery, it becomes more tangible to them, and they'll be better able at remembering it and reasoning with those ideas.
I think the simulations are an interesting teaching tool for me because they allow students to discover things in chemistry, especially visualize things that I can't make visual in any other way. And students can also rapidly inquire, so they can ask a question, interact with the simulation, test it, and the whole process takes 30 seconds. It really asks them to figure out answers using evidence from the simulation. And that's a lot different than showing them a video or having them watch something on the screen.
I definitely think that the simulation helped me understand the lesson more. Just being a visual learner, it's easier to see the actual atoms moving around rather than having to read it off of a book.
Students are much more engaged. Students learn things better, they remember things better, and overall enjoy the experience in chemistry much more than when things were conveyed through textbook or lecture.
I would like to invite to the stage Dr. Kathy Perkins, Director of PhET Interactive Simulations.
On behalf of the PhET Interactive Simulations team, I really want to thank the Qatar Foundation, the WISE organization, the judges, the partners, everybody who supported us over this year. And it's really an honor for us to be here and together with these other highly innovative and impactful projects. At PhET, we're passionate about science and about math and about educating the next generation of scientists, engineers, and innovators who are going to help move our society forward. And we also believe that every child should have access to high-quality educational resources. The story of PhET really begins with the story of Carl Wyman, who won the Nobel Prize in 2001 for his innovative work in creating a new low-temperature state of matter. He was passionate about science, but he was also passionate about teaching. And in his classrooms, he didn't like what he saw. He saw his students weren't engaged in learning science. They were focused on memorization and not on understanding and developing the deep conceptual understanding that they need to. He saw that they weren't relating the science to their everyday life. But he also saw the power and the possibility of interactive simulations. So in 2001, he used his Nobel Prize money to start PhET Interactive Simulations with the goal of creating a suite of interactive simulations in physics where students could immediately start engaging in the science. They would show and experimenting, they would show the visualizations that would help students develop that deep understanding, making the abstract more tangible, more visible for these students. And since then, the growth of the project has been tremendous. So we've moved from physics at the college level. We're now working in chemistry and math and biology. And we've moved from college level down to high school and now down into elementary school. Today, our simulations are translated into 90 languages, and they're used over 80 million times per year around the world. One of the most exciting things for us is when we publish a new simulation and we see our translators all around the world contributing their translations. We know that students who are studying in Spanish or Arabic or Danish, they all have access to these new tools, and that's just one of the most rewarding things for us. So I've seen the tremendous impact of these simulations myself in my own teaching, in watching my two own sons, and in the stories we hear from around the world. So the other day we got an email from Amy. She teaches in rural Texas. In her school, they don't have access to the resources you might expect even in the US. She can't buy the batteries and light bulbs and wires that she needs in order to bring circuits to her students. And so she wrote us to tell us how much she loves the simulation, our simulation called Circuit Construction Kit, and how it helps her students access those ideas, and how they were so passionate in their development of their identity about science had grown, so they wanted to write us and tell us what to add to the simulation. But our work isn't done. We want to bring these simulations to students who still don't have access to science. So this is Sarah. She is blind, and we have a vision of how she could be using the simulation alongside her sighted partner in the classroom, able to access those ideas herself. So I just want to end by thanking our partners. Without their funding, we couldn't do our work. And I invite any of you who are interested to come partner with us and to share these simulations back to your teachers and your students that you are in your lives. And together we hope that we can all help advance science and math literacy worldwide. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Kathy Perkins. And thank you for sharing with us your journey. In many areas of the world, educational systems remain overburdened and are unable to provide access to quality education at a large scale. Our next project is a role model for supporting educational systems in Africa using technology. Let's watch.
Hizi ni herufi tunasoma Kiswahili. Napenda kuangalia kipindi cha Obongo Kids. Nimejifunza hisabati kwa kutumia Obongo Kids. Najifunza vitu vipya navyo vinanisaidia shuleni.
Na akienda kwenye vitabu anakuta ile lugha iliyokuwa imetumika pengine ndio ilikuwa inamchanganya. Basi anaelewa na sio hilo tu, anawaelewesha na wenzake.
With the education system so overburdened, we asked ourselves, how can we bring kids the resources and motivation to learn now and at massive scale, but at low cost? So our first concept was, let's try and deliver a fun lesson that's going to be really engaging to the kids via TV and radio, and then add interactivity that makes it like e-learning by having kids SMS in. Episodes are tested with eye tracking to see, are the kids engaged and what are they paying attention to? And then through that process, we're learning a lot. We're looking at languages like Hausa, Yoruba, Zulu, and really want to make sure that we've got this adaptable content that can very easily, quickly, and efficiently be localized so that kids all over Africa can be learning in the language that they understand, and then take that learning into greater success in school and life.
And on that note, I would like to call Ms. Nisha Legon, CEO of Obongo. Please.
Thank you. We are just so honored to be recognized with such inspiring projects and organizations here. So to the Qatar Foundation, WISE, all of you here, we, the Obongoers, and our cartoon characters say asanteni sana. Thank you. Now, I'd like to introduce you to Akili, a baby born right at the foot of Mount Kilimanjaro. Like all children, be they rich or poor, Akili is born with limitless potential. But the path ahead of her certainly looks quite tough. As an average Tanzanian child, Akili will enter school at age 5 or 6 with 177 kids in her class to one teacher. She'll share a book with 12 other peers, and she'll spend most of her school life memorizing facts to pass a test, often in a language that she doesn't really speak or understand. This situation is similar for most of the 440 million kids across sub-Saharan Africa, whose brilliant and magical potential might just be squandered if we don't do something to bring them meaningful learning experiences now. So at Obongo, what we do is we leverage the lo-fi technologies that their families already use: radio, TV, mobile phones, and we use these to help kids learn and love learning. We do it through the universal childhood languages of cartoons, music, and fun. We're very proud to say that we have the largest classroom in Africa. 6.4 million families learn with us each week. We're now teaching in 4 languages, and we've got many more to come. Our programs help kids like Akili to realize their potential by building a strong foundation of readiness to learn, learning the critical skills that are going to help them succeed in life, and then inspiring them to live life with purpose and a positive mindset so that they can meet the many struggles ahead in their future head on. Our preschool program, Akili and Me, helps kids develop school readiness skills. Kids who watch it outperform their peers by 24% in early numeracy and 12% in overall school readiness after just 1 month of daily viewing. And their older siblings who watch our primary school STEM show, Obongo Kids, have learned everything from the science of light by playing hide and seek, fractions using fruit, and methods for determining whether information that they receive is true and trustworthy. So, hashtag post-truth. Through educational stories of kids who look, speak, and live just like them, our young learners are able to be encouraged to grow their Obongo, that means brain, and to become change makers who can change their own lives, those of their communities, and hopefully the world. So thank you very much. We are so grateful to be here, and just want to encourage any of you to reach out to us and all of the awardees so that we can work together to transform education around the world.
Thank you very much, Nisha. Thank you very much. But on that note, I'd like to ask you one little question. 6 million families, wow, that's amazing. Some people might think cartoon education is a bit traditional. So on that note, what do you think are the challenges? Because it's in a different context, and you're reaching 6 million families. What are the main challenges that you would face?
Yeah, so there are challenges with using these kind of older technologies. So broadcast media, most of our audience is listening on radio or watching on TV, and we can't really customize it, right? Everyone's getting the same thing at the same time. So we try and add some customization by adding mobile interactivity. You can connect with a mobile phone. But then the other thing we do is we just try and design our content around inspirational stories that we think are going to be relevant for everyone, young and old, whether, if we're teaching about fractions, well, they might already know fractions, but they're still going to get something out of this story. And I know that the stories that I saw as a kid really inspired me to be who I am today. So Captain Planet, a cartoon I used to watch, encouraged me to be an environmentalist. Harry Potter, a wizard boy who stood up for muggles who weren't like him, taught me about empathy and standing up for people who may be ostracized because they're different. So our real hope, and where we think that we're going to have even more impact than the specific learning objectives of each of our episodes, is to inspire kids with stories from Akili and Kibena and Kiduchu and our real African characters, so that kids can be inspired to create change in the world and become lifelong learners who can learn anything they need to succeed in their futures.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Nisha. I might have to ask you to stick around on stage, please, and the rest of the awardees, if you can join us on stage as well so that we can take a group photo. Thank you very much.